white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.
Manchester, brace yourself.
Rangers are coming!
Hi everyone, and welcome to the next episode of the iReady podcast. As ever, I'm your host Derek, and with me is my co-host Dave. How are you doing, Dave?
Derek, I am as well as you can be during this lockdown. Still working away, but the news came out that we're under at least another 3 weeks of lockdown, which I think is just going to be the start of many, many, many weeks to come. But we've got a lot to talk about, Derek. That's the reason that we're putting this pod together at such sort of short notice. So I'll let you get straight into it.
Short notice? I think it's been like 2 weeks since the last pod.
No, but I mean the reason we were doing this podcast is because of everything that's been happening. So.
Yeah, so it's really a discussion about what happened over the last week, obviously surrounding the whole farce that's the SPFL. I want to start this podcast though by saying that Dave and I are normally very, very careful about what we say on this podcast and about what we put out in terms of making accusations and things like that. We always want to have proof. We always make sure we say allegedly. We've both got families we need to support, and we don't want anything to jeopardise that. But I think it's the first time we can categorically say, without any riders on it at all or anything like that, this is the most corrupt thing that we've ever seen in Scottish football, isn't it?
It is quite incredible, Derek. It is, for us to agree to do the pod just because of some news news that's came out and decisions that have been made, farcical decisions, which we honestly can't quite get over, speaks for itself. I think it's been quite extraordinary the last few days anyway, and then culminating with everything that happened, just yesterday and then again today. I honestly still can't. I can't get my head around it, and it's as you say, looking at everything that has happened, everything that we've been told about what is happening. There really has to be action taken. There really has to be investigations leading, and I'm not talking about dodgy internal investigations like done across the city, the east end of the city. I'm talking about proper independent investigations. But I'll let you get into it, Derek, before we start ranting and raving.
Well, I mean, this is what the pod's going to be ultimately about, and we're wanting to try and do it a wee bit differently. We've not got a full timeline. Things are not going to be said verbatim as they were. I know Dave's got a couple of articles that he wants to kind of read out as well, and a few statements, but we're going to try and summarise just in a slightly different way. So really, to start off is why the need to call the vote in the first place. The SPFL and the SFA had decided that the league wouldn't start until the 10th of June at the very earliest, with a 6 weeks worth of training beforehand. So you were looking into probably the start of August before the main football started anyway, and now they've said that they've came out, I think was it today or yesterday, that it will be definitely not until August at the very earliest when they kick off. And if they're still talking about 6 weeks worth of training for the player, proper training for the players, you're talking about then into August, September, October time. So why the need to hurry this vote in the first place?
Exactly. I mean, I know, Derek, there has been a lot said and a lot on social media, official statements from clubs saying that they're starting to worry, they're starting to see the stress financially of everything that's happened with the pandemic, with there being no main sources of income and things like that. That's true, but that we could say the same for every single football club, sports club, in the whole world right now. And I took it that these statements that were coming out back then for these clubs, talking about, putting their staff on the furlong process, they were going to be, only giving them sort of 80% of their wages and stuff like that to try and help things out. I thought that this was them basically looking for help from, or looking for guidance from the SPFL, not expecting that it was going to go the way that it has, and for them to just suddenly come up with this decision that they're going to be having this vote straight away as quickly as possible, and then that's it done, end of. It is quite incredible, Derek. It seems to me as if it has been done incredibly quickly so that nobody can really have any complaints to be made, if you know what I mean. It looks to me as if it's been just pushed through the door as quickly as possible. And again, with everything that's happened today, some of the statements that I've read from clubs who, I thought were, opposed to it, it looks as if a lot of them have sort of rolled over and accepted it, which is quite incredible. I still can't quite get over it, to be honest with you.
Well, here's the big rumour that's floating about social media, and to me it's got a lot of credence to it, is that UEFA apparently brought in an epidemiologist who recommended to basically abandon all the leagues immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So UEFA are apparently having a meeting at the end of the month. Now,
yep.
who sits on a prominent UEFA board who would be privy to that information already?
Yes, I know. Yep. Mm-hmm. I know exactly.
So this would be ultimately, if they're to recommend the abandoned leagues, it would effectively be null and void. All titles, all relegation would be all off. What clubs have got to lose out in that? And we're talking about one from the east end of the city. So
yeah. We're talking about them, and we're talking about clubs right now who are sitting top of the league. Another team who I've got absolutely no time for as well. From Dundee, who are also sitting. It looks like we're going to be prominently talking about the two Dundee teams here, but the team that's sitting top of the Championship at the moment, they have grabbed the title with no shame at all, and have declared themselves champion and congratulating each other. So it's clubs like that as well, Derek. It's not just them; it's these other clubs that's going to be benefiting as well.
Yeah, but here's the point that I've made all along, and now. The fact that Lawwell sits on certain boards and is by the by, it's not that there might be anything untoward going on, it's the perception that something is untoward going on. We all know that he has a very significant influence, so we all know he's at it, but it's even if he wasn't, it's the perception he is. So next thing here is the fact that the voting time frame. Now, the clubs were told about this vote, or told about the conditions and given the resolution on the Wednesday, and they were told by 5 p.m. on the Friday, get your vote in.
Yep.
Why the rush again? There was no need for that rush. Now, it turns out that SPFL rules state that any resolutions put forward to clubs have got 28 days to respond to. That was quite convenient, which we'll get into later, because that was never really explained to anybody, it seems.
Yep. And it's not just, it seems to be a common, it's like a common statement that's been made by, quite a few clubs now that things were very unclear, or the way that it was portrayed to them turns out that it wasn't the case whatsoever. As I say, I've read over quite a few statements for the likes of East Fife and Stranraer, Partick Thistle, folk like that, who are basically all saying exactly the same thing. So just exactly what you said there, Derek, it's the reason that it's all been done like this is strange, and again, this isn't me submising these things. These are things that have been put out in official statements. It's as if they've been rushed and pressurised into making these votes as quickly as possible. And as you say, why? What's the reason in that?
Yeah, the voting structure is another complete baffling one to me as well. Obviously, we've got 4 leagues. League 1 and League 2 were bundled together for some unknown reason. The Championship were treated as separate, and the Premiership was treated separate. So why not have all 42 teams voting together as one, which is what the whole SPFL are meant to be, and then taking a percentage of that, say 75% of them had to vote for it to pass it. So it left it in the position where it could have been a case of all of League 1 and League 2 and the Championship voted it through, but I think 9 clubs had to vote for it in the Premiership. So if 8 clubs only voted for it and 4 never, then it means the other clubs would lose out on it on the back of 4 teams. Doesn't make sense to me.
According to SPFL statement, there was 9 supporting votes needed for the Premiership, 8 for the Championship, and 15 for Leagues 1 and Leagues 2, which is a completely strange way of doing things. But again, was that there, to make sure that the right clubs voted for, the right vote. If you know what I mean, is that the way that it was all done, Derek? Were they scared if they were to lump everybody all into the one thing, they were going to be losing a certain amount of votes? It's just that, as you say, it's baffling. It's strange the way that that's been done. And again, I haven't seen anything anywhere into, the reasoning, as to why it was done like that either.
No. And I can understand to an extent why the Premiership was kept separate, because ultimately UEFA have said all the top flights need to be played, and they will ultimately ban clubs from Europe, or they'll put sanctions on clubs if they get called. That means they can't go into Europe for the next seasons or whatever. How enforceable that was, I don't know. I don't know if that was just scare tactics or it was just the media bullshit we've been fed. But surely the decision on... So, as it stands just now, a decision has been made on the Championship, but that'll have a direct impact on the relegation for the Premiership, surely, because then you can't promote the Championship club and not relegate the Premiership club if it came to it, if they're able to play there. So it's just baffling, the whole thing in that respect, which, again, we'll get on to. Now, the SPFL rules state that if you don't agree with a resolution that's been put forward, you don't actually need to respond. So on the voting slips which have been leaked, why was there an accept and a reject box on them? Surely if you don't need to actually respond if you're voting against a resolution, it didn't actually apparently get counted as a no vote, it just get counted as a no respond vote, and it kind of effectively meant that your vote doesn't count, and it got counted in the total. So it's again another strange one.
And again, were you saying that, Derek, why were statements going out saying that they were awaiting the one club from the Championship to vote, and that was like in quite a few were still awaiting a vote from one Championship club? If that is the case and you don't respond, then it's just put down as a club hasn't got back, as you say, within the right not to to respond to them. But again, that was down in, statements there saying that we were still waiting on one club, and then that club, as we found out later on, was Dundee. That was the club that they were saying that were waiting on the vote, and that was when the fiasco and the farce all started to unravel. Dundee saying they had voted and they had voted no, and then the sudden change, the SPFL saying they hadn't received the vote, and we all know what happened. But if that is correct, what you're saying then, Derek, that you don't have to respond, then why on earth was there so much emphasis put on Dundee's vote and then waiting on it?
Well, that kind of gets into the whole crux of the matter, which the one last thing I want to come to in respect to this resolution is that you were allowed to change your no vote to yes, but not the other way about.
Which is absolutely incredible.
Now,
when have you ever heard anything as farcical in your life?
Now, this is the grey area here, because Heart and Hand had somebody report in who was involved in corporate law and said, well, it's actually a very common thing. It's done for expediency because you don't expect a yes vote to change, do you? So, but again, it doesn't make sense. Then why were you allowed? So if there was a no vote, then why were you allowed to change? Why were you allowed to change then? If you're allowed 28 days, again, it just it beggars belief. As you said, it really turned out into an absolute shit show from there, because, as you said, SPFL released their incomplete results. So it was then that we all found out. We all found out that there was the 28-day thing. So why was this secret? Why did it all have to get done rushed to 5 p.m. on the Friday when they knew they had 28 days? Why did other clubs not know this? Why did we not know this? Why did the media not know this? It doesn't make sense one bit.
Again, there are so many questions to be asked on the whole process, Derek, and we're all finding things constantly. Every time you start reading back everything that happens, you're bringing up more and more questions. This is why there has to be some, a a proper investigation into the way that everything has happened, so that if the SPFL have got absolutely nothing to hide, then everything should be pretty straightforward. For them to give us the reasons why. All these questions that everybody has with regards to it. If they've got nothing to hide, then it should be pretty. Explain. They should be able to explain exactly what happened and why it was done like that. But again, we're still left wondering, what the hell's going on? It's and how they've came to all these conclusions. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, this is where, again, as I said, this is where it all started to unravel, because not long before the 5 p.m. deadline, Dundee released a statement which appeared to show their unhappiness and about how much they would lose money if this resolution went through. It was very woolly at best. It even left their own fans commenting on their Twitter thread about what position their club stood in, because it was very unclear. And obviously it transpired that the vote wasn't submitted, or so we thought. Now, just getting back onto this whole point about results. So 28 days, why did they release the results then? Again, it's showing a complete lack of judgment, a complete lack of corporate awareness, and it's ultimately left Dundee in a very influential position, which, again, we'll get onto as well. So the next day, then, that's when all the leaks started to happen, wasn't it? The Inverness Caledonian Thistle chairman gave a half-hour interview in BBC Scotland, giving a clear timeline of events, with him stating that 3 championship clubs, which was them, Partick Thistle and Dundee, all planned to vote no. He gave a verbal timeline of when votes were submitted, including Dundee's vote, which was submitted at 16:52. Apparently then Dundee sent an email to the SPFL at 6 p.m. that night stating not to accept any attempts by them to submit a vote. And then all of a sudden the Dundee vote mysteriously appears, and it turns out that they were voting no. The claims were that they had submitted it in PDF form via email, and it had not gone through the firewall, and it had been put in the junk folder of the SPFL inbox. But
there'll still be a time and a date on it, though, Derek, correct?
Yes, exactly. So this is where the whole argument completely goes to shit now, because, Dave, me and you both work in a place where emails get flung about time and time again, and everybody does these days. That's the way people communicate. Football tends to still work in fax, so I'm unsure why it never went through in fax, mind you. However, there'll be timestamps everywhere, as you said. And I don't believe for a second that this was the first email Dundee have sent, which included a PDF attachment to the SPFL.
Exactly. And Derek, if you are desperately waiting on an email coming through and it's not appeared, the first thing you say to yourself is, well, check the junk mail folder just in case it's went through in the junk mail as well. Yeah. So it's quite, the excuses are quite childish, to be perfectly honest with you. It's quite incredible. Everything's got a time and a date on it when it was sent, so it would be quite easy to find, regardless what folder it's happened to sort of fall into, even if it was a genuine mistake that did happen. But Derek, you're right, exactly. How many times will Dundee have sent emails to the SPFL over the last few years? There's bound to be hundreds of emails that get sent out. There was probably even daily emails get sent out, and for us to believe that it didn't go through and it ended up in another folder and no one had the sense to check it, it's one of the worst excuses you could get. Let's be honest.
And then the rules apparently have been leaked as well, a part of the page, the rules which appear to be from the Rangers side, and it was showing some of the strange conditions that were attached to the whole vote thing. And then another picture of 3 voting forms from Inverness, Partick and Dundee, all signed and timed with them, and with the reject firmly submitted. Yep. And then there was a further leak of an apparent WhatsApp chat from the chairman, and one of them making a claim that they can imagine Doncaster being on the phone to Lawwell 5 minutes after the votes had been cast. Now, that's not set in stone, but again, if the chairman are saying this, then it's quite clear that they even think that there's something amiss as well.
They're perceiving that as well, Derek. Yep.
Bearing in mind what the ex-St Mirren chairman said as well, that Lawwell runs the league, doesn't he?
Well, it's a sort of, we always joke about it, but again, it's something that we all know. It's sort of open secret, isn't it, Derek? Let's be honest. The amount of influence the man has over the whole league is, quite incredible. But we get actual officials from clubs, even making jokes about it, stuff like that. Lets you know exactly what's going on there. I mean, that's all you need to know. Yep.
Now, getting on to our kind of side of the story, again, it's not really in timeline with anything, but it's just our sort of taking in sections here. We put a counter resolution before the 5 p.m. deadline, but it was thrown out for being apparently incompetent. Apparently, it didn't meet the legal standards. Our resolution was to award prize money just now, or a proportion of the prize money just now to allow the clubs to survive and then see if we can restart the league at some point. Rangers made a statement then claiming that they had tried to speak to the SPFL legal representative, which, bearing in mind who that is and who he has affiliations with as well, and we were trying to speak to him to seek approval and guidance on several occasions. However, we were basically blanked on that one. SPFL counter statement refuting our stance, claiming that we had not emailed the lawyer until 22:48 the previous night, which I find incredible given how quickly they were trying to push things through, how severe this situation is for everyone. You would have thought that any legal representation would be on call 24/7 in these times.
Yep.
However, why would Rangers directly go to the SPFL legal representative? That they should be going directly to the SPFL, which the SPFL stupidly already confirmed that we were in dialogue with them several times during that whole point during that day. So they fully knew about what we were trying to do. Then we released another statement slamming the corporate governments and calling for an independent investigation into the whole affair, calling for Doncaster and Murdo McLennan, the SPFL chairman, to be suspended until the investigation's over. And they also states that they've had evidence of bullying from chairman and regarding the whole thing. Counter statement by McLennan, not denying the allegations, but telling us to prove it and show us the evidence. Yeah, like that's going to happen. We're not going to bloody give the evidence to the actual bullies, are we? We're going to go to the actual police about things, It's very telling there was no denial in that as well. See, if somebody was accusing you of something, you would go straight out like that and then say you would refute those claims straight away, wouldn't you?
Straight away, Derek. That's the first thing. You would be talking about defamation of character. You would be talking about all sorts of things like that, wouldn't you? But as you say, it was basically you're talking rubbish, try and prove it, and that was it, in a roundabout way.
Yep. It's since come out that our proposal was rejected by the SPFL because they claim that there's already a system in place for clubs to get short-term loans secured against future prize money. Basically a kind of a hardship fund. Not that was stated to any chairman, because it was all news to most people, wasn't it?
Exactly. Yes, and this is another sort of baffling thing. This is another major part of this deal which should have been disclosed right at the beginning, Derek. A lot of chairmen who are worried about finances suddenly coming out and saying, that was never ever disclosed to us. I mean, that in itself, Derek, deserves being investigated if anything else. I mean, it's incredible. The more and more that we talk about it, the more things are coming out, which is just I honestly can't believe it's. I keep repeating myself, but just even that is quite flabbergasting. It really is.
Yeah. We'll take the Hearts side of it now. They rejected the resolution and came out against it. They've, this is the thing. Clubs will vote for self-preservation, self-interest, which I can totally understand. However, the whole point is Hearts were going to get relegated if the league ended just now, so they were quite rightly coming out against it when there was still a clear amount of games to play. A couple of strong statements stated they backed us up. They even stated they basically copied our resolution and submitted it. The feedback they got, which, bearing in mind, I don't think we got the same feedback, is that it was rejected due to one word in the resolution that we submitted, stating that we demanded it rather than requested it. Hearts have stated that they've spoken to their own lawyers and this one word would have had no material difference to the proposal whatsoever. So it looks like me that the SPFL didn't want to be dictated to, and they also didn't like the fact that it came from us. That's what I'm reading into it. Hearts then also stated that the initial SPFL document that was proposed to them gave very, very brief details, which was virtually nothing, about 6 proposals that they had, or 6 ideas that they had, but it was not in any detail. And they stated the SPFL rejected, I think, 5 of them. The club's never seen the full details of them, and they never even were discussed. And it was stated what has been offered by the SPFL is the only viable option, and it was basically a take it or leave it, because if you leave it, you don't get your prize money.
Yeah.
That was backed up by several other chairmen as well, by the way, about this whole... It was a case of we were told it's this way or no way at all, and the money was getting held over us. That is called bullying.
And it's also complete lies, Derek.
Exactly.
Complete lies. So, you know, again, more and more things are stacking up. But I still think that you've got to get to the best bit yet, in my opinion, which is involving Hearts as well. But I'll let you get into your next, your next statement here, or part statement.
So, the step into Partick Thistle. Now, they voted to reject, rightly so. They were bottom of the league by 2 points, but with a game in hand.
Yeah.
And the only reason why they've got a game in hand is because the opposition they were due to play, which I think was Inverness, had a cup game. That's hardly fair, is it? How can you have a team which has got a game in hand that's only 2 points behind at the bottom of the league? They would have got a playoff place if they had won that game. Everybody would have been on the same amount of games. And for me, that is the crux of this whole matter about ending leagues where it stands just now and awarding positions and points. Teams haven't played the same amount of games. And see your points average thing, it doesn't make a bit of difference to me. Because would they have wanted the same if Rangers had only been a point behind Celtic? And with that still game in hand? No, they wouldn't have. So this is what is absolutely stupid about it. But Partick Thistle quite rightly came out all guns blazing and stated that they'll fight this in court if need be. So it all leads to what's happened over the last couple of days. Before even they had another meeting, Wraith Rovers, just the gall of this club, they came out with a statement demanding the title. They're only a point ahead with 8 games to play.
Yep. And the club that they're a point ahead of now, Derek, you know me, I've got no love lost for my local team, which is Falkirk Football Club, but a lot of my friends support them. And again, it's going into the farcical part that they are a point clear. And the last game of the season was, or the last game, prominent game, was going to be Falkirk against Wraith Rovers, where Falkirk could quite easily have won the game, and been the top of the league. So it isn't just for teams getting relegated, it's for teams going for the championships as well. And Falkirk were well in a position to do that also. So, I mean, it goes both ways as well. So, I mean, they have got I know a lot of their fans are absolutely disgusted with everything that's been going on as well. And I mean, that, clearly for them, was something that they could easily have achieved.
Yeah. I mean, this is the second season that looks as if that Falkirk are going to be shafted out of a promotion place because of a technicality. Remember that the fact that they never had a 10,000-seater stadium, that saved Aberdeen from getting relegated into the first division at that time as well. So Falkirk, as much as you've got no love lost against them, getting shafted again.
Yeah, unfortunately for them as well. I don't know if you're going into anything like that, going by the statement that they put out, it looks as if the chairman and their board aren't going to put up any kind of a fight at all, and basically just told the fans that they're disappointed, but let's just get on with it. So I know that there are a huge number of Falkirk fans out there absolutely disgusted with the way that their board has portrayed themselves and the way that that's been carried out. But again, that's another story, Derek.
Yeah. So it's left now then they had another board meeting, and amazingly Dundee changed their vote to yes, so it meant the resolution is passed. Now it's clear the voting intention. Dundee put out a couple of woolly statements, but again they even claimed earlier on before they changed their vote that their full intention was to vote no. So we've seen the voting slip. They've had a couple of statements slamming the actual resolution. They've said that they intended to vote no, then they changed it to yes. Now bearing in mind they submitted their initial vote for no at 16:52. At 6 o'clock, At 6 o'clock, they submitted another email, which, funnily enough, went right through to the SPFL this time.
It was received, yes. Strange.
So disregard anything that comes through from us in relation to a vote. So what happened in that hour and 8 minutes for them to change their mind? Please tell me.
Honestly, it was, as you said, Derek, going from the statements that they put out, basically saying that there was absolutely no way they were doing it, to then, complete U-turn like that, and, conveniently, you can change your vote if it is going to be a yes, a yes vote, and that going straight through the SPFL, receiving, confirmation from them with absolutely no issues whatsoever in such a short space of time. And again, a lot of it is speculation, Derek. I've seen so many theories on social media. But again, it's just quite incredible and quite unbelievable that, it would happen like that. But it did.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was talk about lucrative friendlies now. Lucrative friendlies against SPFL top clubs. Then the only two top clubs in Scotland are really Rangers and Celtic. So you're hardly going to get a top flight glamour friendly against bloody Dundee and Hearts, or Hearts and Hibs or whatever. So it's either only going to be Rangers or Celtic, and it's fucking no us, is it? So we know who's. I know that obviously there was a glamour friendly touted between Dundee and Celtic for America a few years ago, and that got scrapped. So we need to wait and see for that one. But what it's meant is Dundee United, Wraith Rovers, and Cove Rangers have all been crowned champions! ! With Partick and Stranraer relegated. The playoffs appear to be abandoned, and the Highland League team won't get a chance at a playoff, which meant Brechin has escaped that playoff.
Yep.
Premiership still has to be decided. That's going to be largely based on what UEFA vote, but you can see what's coming. However, the whole spanner in the works of this thing is, what happens if UEFA say to every single league, you are null and void in your league, and the no relegation can happen, no championships can get awarded? What is that going to say? What will that effect have on what's been voted on here? Will that override everything, or will the SPFL try and fight it, or will they try and make a stand? We'll need to wait and see on that one. But again, whatever way it goes, it's going to make it look a farce. The aftermath of this, Dundee United and Nicky Clark celebrating on Twitter, absolutely fucking idiots. Nicky Clark lacked the class for us on the park. He clearly has no class off it either. I expect it from Dundee United, that as in a team, even after Specky Thompson's fucked off. But Nicky Clark is an absolute arsehole for that one. The
best one for me, Derek, actually, and this shows you how much a class act Dundee United was their manager, and I don't know if it was their chairman or director or whoever, celebrating their championship win in a car park with a bottle of Corona.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw those ones. I mean, that again, as low taste as you could possibly get. Absolute no class at all, and for any Dundee United fan out there, I think that's hilarious and funny and absolutely brilliant. You really need to have a fucking good look at yourselves. But again, a club who fucking went into bed with Celtic when the shit hit the fan for us a few seasons ago, completely lacking in class altogether, and really don't expect much more for them at all, do you?
No, absolutely not. They can go and fuck themselves, and they can be a Tesco if it wasn't. I mean, all it takes. This is the thing. They've literally got nothing. They've got these American owners who were banking on getting promoted, and they've got it. Fair enough. They've bought a couple of decent players, but as soon as they pull out, and if they don't get a buyer, they're fucked. Literally, they're fucked. They have to sell their training ground and everything. So, but anyway, Murdo McLennan amazingly congratulated the champion clubs in an SPFL statement. And I know this is what you were kind of getting at. The most laughable thing of the whole thing is that Anne Budge and the Hamilton chairman, I think it is, will lead a reconstruction effort. Just think about that. The bottom two clubs of the Premiership are going to be in charge of doing a reconstruction effort, which clearly what they're going to do, they're going to vote for a bigger league to keep themselves in it.
I think Ali McCoist, I don't know if did you hear him on TalkSport Derek, when he was talking about his young son, marking his own homework and rewarding himself with a biscuit at the end of it for doing such a good job. That it just, it sums it up for me, completely. This is what the whole farce, not just the Hearts thing, the whole investigation that that they'll do upon themselves and everything like that. Everything is. I have never heard a more farcical thing, and that was what sort of tipped me over the edge. As soon as I heard that Anne Budge and the chairman of Hamilton were going to be heading the league reconstruction, task force, I think that it was passed. I've never heard anything so ridiculous in all my life. And I work with quite a few jambos, Derek, and even they are embarrassed by all of this. They honestly can't believe that this has happened. All these guys people who are, die-hard Hearts supporters, they were desperate for legal action to go in. They were desperate for the lawyers to get involved. They were desperate for a fight against the SPFL. And now it's just all been, it's not been handled very well, but we need to move forward. And the way that they're going to move forward is that they're going to reconstruct a bigger league so that they didn't get relegated. That's basically what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've asked me if I've ever heard anything so ridiculous. Have you ever heard anything so ridiculous as that?
No, absolutely not. I mean, and plus as well, Partick Thistle have now released a statement tonight saying that they're not going to now take legal action because basically they can't afford it, and because reconstruction has been discussed, then we might save all three clubs from relegation. So ultimately, this is where the whole stupidity thing comes in with the reconstruction, is that there was no appetite for it before. It's not guaranteed because it's only a discussion, and it's only going to be a 2-year temporary reconstruction, according to Anne Budge. It still relies on a vote. It will still rely on Sky, and this is where it will complete the whole thing that hinders any reconstruction talks before. This is the reason why we've got a 12-team league and a stupid split, because they wanted to basically gouge on the Old Firm pound. More teams in the league means the same amount of money but a less share of the pie. It will also mean likely less games for each team against Rangers and Celtic, which means less gate receipts. And it's basically a short-term gain for a long-term loss. That's exactly what it boils down to.
At the end of the day, Derek, in the game, we rely solely upon two things to keep everything going. First of all is the money that they get from the broadcasters, being Sky and BT, especially Sky, and then the second part is the amount of money that's made off of the Old Firm fans going to away grounds. Now, the Sky money is by far the most, and there is absolutely no way on earth that Sky will not allow there to be or not to be 4 Old Firm games a season, at least in the league. Absolutely no way, because Sky are not interested in anything else. Let's be perfectly honest. You are not going to get a bumper 3 million people watching, St Johnstone versus Dundee United next season, because when that comes on the TV, the vast majority of Sky subscribers down in England will go, I'm not watching that shit. I'd rather watch a championship game, that's on at the same time or whatever. So that's not going to be appealing. And I know a lot of folk will be saying, "Oh, you're just saying that because you're a Rangers fan." It's the truth, Derek. That's what it is. The only time that you will find the vast majority of people down south or in other countries watching a Scottish game that don't come from Scotland is if it's an Old Firm game, and Sky that will just not be on the table at all, Derek. There must be 4 Old Firm games a season for that money to keep in there. So what kind of reconstruction talk? I'm actually desperate to see what they come up with. And you made a very good point there, Derek. This isn't set in stone. So what happens if everything's done and then the league reconstruction gets put in by Hearts and Hamilton, and it gets rejected by the SPFL? What happens after that? Is there still a chance that Hearts will get relegated? Is there still a chance that Hamilton will get relegated, and then they've completely fucked themselves? I don't think that's happened. I think that they have been given some sort of guarantee with them doing that they will not be allowed to get relegated. But that could still happen. It is, one of these things, and it is just honestly the most farcical thing I've ever heard. And it was. I thought I'd heard everything up until then, but as soon as I read that statement, And then, I thought, well, that's Hearts out the running, basically, because they are now going to be chairing this task force into league reconstruction, which is quite incredible. Again, I'm going to say it, there's no way that Sky will allow there to not be 4 Old Firm games a season. No chance.
The gate receipts is another big one here, because ultimately you've got you're going to be playing Rangers and Celtic 4 times at your home ground, so twice each.
Yep. Yes.
Take Livingston, for instance, because their fans are that shit and they can't fill their own stadium, they decided to give Rangers and Celtic 7,000, so 3 stands, basically.
There was another club that gave us 3 stands as well, Derek.
Yeah. So you look at
astronomical amounts for tickets.
So you look at that. That's I've worked that out there. Just say an average of £30 per ticket. Sometimes it's a wee bit more. That's £210,000 per game income just for ticket sales there. So are you going to tell me that a club is willing to lose a game each against these clubs, or even if they drop it down to 3? There's £210,000. There's it's a massive amount that is. I mean, that's the maintenance of a pitch for a season. That's that's anything that they could do with that. There's a player for that level.
Yep.
So are teams really going to vote for that? I don't think so. Where does it leave Rangers as it is? It leaves us, on the face of it, fighting this alone once again.
Yep.
Rangers have quite rightly withheld the information from the public knowledge withheld the evidence from the SPFL and obviously from the public viewing gallery, because they want an independent investigation. So I hope to God that it's an absolute brammer of evidence they've got, and it's a smoking gun, because if it's not, they've let it build up to be that way, and that's the problem. That was what was highlighted in the Heart and Hand as well. We surely wouldn't have made any statements without having the proper evidence, which, I would quite like to think anyway. And it appears to be backed up by others, which is clear that they have effectively been bought here with what we're looking at. They've been promised certain things, and they've voted in favour of it. And that's after the evidence. So that's after the evidence as well has been found out that honourable clubs could have actually got loans and things like that. Nobody was willing to kick up a fuss about that. For me, there's been talk on boycotts of away teams. Now, as I said,
how many times have we heard that before, though, Derek?
Yeah, I don't think it'll work. Ultimately, I think the club should refuse to take an official allocation. I understand that if fans want to go and support the team, but you can't really moan at clubs for the stance they've taken and then go and line their pockets by going and attending their games, because it's exactly what they want. We're not going to say don't do it, but just think about what you're actually doing by going to support the team away. I know you want to support the team, we all do, but sometimes situations are bigger than going to support the team. This is about the whole thing we've been fighting since 2008 about the bias that's been going on and the one-sided decisions that have been going on. If Celtic and Peter Lawwell can influence something like this, then what's to say they've not been influencing referees in the way the decisions are being made? You can see from the refereeing decisions this year that there's been something clear. So it's clear that, to me, there's something that is not right within the governance of the SPFL. So you need to think about, when you're going to away games, what are you actually funding here?
What do you think the club's stance should be, Derek, on? And I've been thinking about this a lot. If the club are determined to sort of prove a point here, and I don't know what the legal stance would be. I don't think that there would be anything legal here. But let's say Rangers were to say, right, well, because of everything that's happened, because we're so disillusioned, apologising to the fans, but saying, look, when these clubs offer us away tickets, we are only going to take, let's say, 1,000 tickets for fans, per game, rather than 4,000 or 5,000 seats. Let's say they were only say we're going to take a maximum of 1,000 tickets. It's like what the vast majority teams at the bottom of the SPFL would take, and we're not going to be taking any more. what's the official stance on that? I mean, I dare say that that club would sell the tickets, independently, if there was fans out there that were wanting to buy them, but officially from the club, would you see that as being a way forward for them to do that?
It's one stance which I think they should take. I don't think they should be accepting any official allocation, but as you said there, all that's going to happen is your Hearts, your Hibs, your Dundee United or whoever will just sell them directly to Rangers fans like they did used to before.
But again, that would then put the onus back on the supporters rather than the club. That would be the club telling the supporters, we know that you want to come and cheer us on, but because of everything that's happened, we are sort of urging you, not to, because we are only going to be taking 800 tickets, let's say, for any club for the rest of the season, including Celtic.
But Dave,
will only be taking 800 tickets.
This is the problem, Dave. Rangers did do that when we played Dundee United a few years ago after the whole debacle of 2012 for a cup game. And look what happened. Fans still wanted to go.
Yeah.
And again, I can understand you want to go and support your club, but this is the shit we're fighting. So fans need to be more wise to this, and we'll never tell fans what to do in terms of that respect, but you need to be wise to that.
I can remember that happening, and it was just a one-off, Derek, and there was a lot of fans that said, no, there's no way I'm going. And there was a lot of fans that did go and held this stance, say, I've been supporting this club for 40-odd years and you'll not tell me that I can't go and cheer them. Fair enough, Derek, that's their decision. But as a club stance, for us to do that through a whole season, I think would be quite a big, statement to make. But again, that's just me. And I think that, a lot of fans would follow suit. But as you say, there would still be a lot of fans would buy them, but I don't think there would be as many as what, they would do if the club were officially taking, their full allocation and stuff like that. But again, that's just an opinion that I'm thrown out there. I don't know.
Another thing that we've seen mooted is the fact that moving down south, we should definitely apply to go to down the lower leagues down south and work our way back up. Apparently Bury's registration is still lying free just now. Sorry, this is just an absolute pipe dream. We are never going to move down south. It will not happen in a month of Sundays. Also, as well, you've got to bear in mind, this is going to be, once we do eventually come out of this whole situation, this health issue, it's going to be entirely different, landscape in terms of both for the fans, for being able to afford things, as well as football clubs. People were still talking about getting £20 million for Morelos. You're fucking never going to get money like that for our players anymore. The TV companies have taken a hit on this. The clubs have taken a hit on this. The government have taken a hit on this. Everything has taken a hit financially. If you think you're going to get massive amount of money for players, you might still in the mega elite rich clubs, but it maybe not going to be as much.
No.
So this whole moving down south things are. So this land of milk and honey or whatever they want to call it is not going to be there. I don't think the bubble. This is the one thing that might come good of it. The bubble might have finally burst, and there might become some sort of reality after it. In my opinion, is that I think there needs to be a full clear out of the SPFL and the SFA. I don't know what the hell I know that the SPFL are technically a separate body, but the SFA govern football in Scotland, and they've been very quiet over this. There needs a full clear out. I know Rangers have asked for the suspension of 2 people, but that really I don't think gets to the crux of the matter, because they'll just put other mouthpieces in there. Doncaster has been awfully quiet throughout this, and what's the point of removing just 2 mouthpieces to another 2 mouthpieces getting put in place? You need to completely scrap the whole thing. Play what we can of the 2021 for the 2021 season for next season, and then a full reconstruction is needed for the start of the following season with one organisation. So scrap the SFA and the SPFL, merge them into one rule book, because that's the one big thing that hinders Scotland as well. I also think we need to scrap the TV deal, which hopefully if reconstruction brings that around, that'll do. And I've said this before, allow clubs to go their own way in terms of their TV deal, like your RTVs, like your Celtic and Kilmarnock TVs, and then you pay the opposition a small percentage of your income from that. It means you can lower ticket prices as well to make sure fans will still attend. You can get back to Saturday 3 p.m. kickoffs. And the one big thing here is, and I know it might sound a bit crass, but 42 teams in Scotland is far, far too much. And as much as I'll feel very sorry for the normal people like me and you who will lose their jobs over this, I think clubs are going to go to the wall over this. And maybe that's what Scottish football is needing, unfortunately, is to lower the amount of teams. Merge teams together. I mean, how many clubs there are in Stirling Falkirk area? It's ridiculous. There's about 5 clubs in the Stirling Falkirk area. If they're continuing to want to keep with this number of clubs, I would like to actually see 2 leagues of 20. Home and away, you still get 38 games. You still get the total amount of games. Yes, you'll only get 1 game with the Old Firm coming to you. And yeah, you might get a lot of dross as well when you're playing like the top of the league versus the 20th in the league. But as we've just found out over the last couple of months, just because you're near the top doesn't mean the bottom has not got a chance against you. So that would be my idea. Again, it's another pipe dream, but there's going to be too many clubs involved in self-interest, and what I fucking don't want anymore is this whole thing about it's good for their coefficient or think about the good of the Scottish game. I do not want to hear that anymore from anyone.
Derek, the whole coefficient thing will then come down to what UEFA decide should be happening with the top leagues around about Europe, if you're talking about coefficient and stuff like that. It's, if they turn around and say, no, we want it null and void, there's not going to be any champions, there's not going to be any relegation, nothing like that, then, obviously that's, it's not going to affect, the coefficient and things like that.
Dave, what I meant is when we were in our European run there, is when there was a lot of pundits talking about, Rangers fans should want Celtic to win and vice versa because it's for the good of the coefficient of the Scottish game. I don't give a fuck about that anymore because too many clubs are in it for themselves and they've voted that way.
I've never been in that way tended anyway, Derek. I've never wanted that mob to win any game that they've ever played in their lives, and 99.9% of supporters out there will say exactly the same thing about their rival clubs. Again, that's to me is just a lot of nonsense regardless. And the way that I feel about the vast majority of clubs in Scotland anyway, I wouldn't want any of them to win anything either, because that's just me. I'm only interested in one club. The whole thing again, though, Derek, when it comes back to you, I mean, you made some good points there about league reconstruction, about the TV deal going and stuff like that. If it did go down to they were only playing a team, just once home and away, if it was an expanded league, if Sky did come in, it would be a much reduced, which is, is no good for anyone. So going forward, again, asking fans, if it was RTV, if RTV had, exclusive rights to live Rangers games at home, and they were asking supporters to pay for it and stuff like that, then I think we would make an absolute packet off that. I honestly do. And then the away games, I don't know how that would work if Sky or BT or that would want, to give it money, and you would get a certain amount of money, given if for our away games and stuff like that. I honestly don't know. It's something that, a lot of people have got a lot of opinions about. There's a lot of different ramifications out there. It's I'm intrigued to find out what proposals that they come up with, and if it's actually going to work out for Hearts and Hamilton here, or if they have actually shot themselves in the foot. And I'm also, will be intrigued to find out exactly what happens when UEFA finally decide what's going to happen. With the top leagues round there, and what ramifications that's going to mean for us. Because, Derek, you can bet your bottom dollar that the end game here is to make Celtic the champions here, regardless of what's happening. I mean, that's the elephant in the room here, isn't it? It's that's what we can all see. It's a way to try and crown them champions as quickly as possible. So we can only hope that something comes out from UEFA that sort of puts things back into perspective here, but everything has just been a bit of a farce altogether. So I honestly don't know what way it's going to go.
Yeah, it's going to rumble on, especially if there's legal action. We'll just need to wait and see what happens. We didn't think we were going to be back this soon with a podcast, but certainly we have been, and I'm sure there'll be one coming up very shortly as well, because there'll be more ramifications for this. And we'll just, as I said, we'll just need to wait and see how it goes.
Do you have any timescales there? Has there been anything said on when UEFA are going to be discussing what's going to be happening? Have they put any dates or anything? Because I mean, I've been reading a lot about European football recently as well, and the likes of Juventus have came out today basically saying that they wouldn't accept being crowned champions if that was the case, because they want to win the championship on the park and stuff like that. That's Robbie Nielsen should take note of that before he goes and starts celebrating. But I've heard things like that. Has there been any kind of deadline put on when UEFA are going to be meeting?
Well, no that I'm aware of, but certainly they were meeting at the end of the month, I think. Whether they make any firm decisions about that, I don't know. UEFA, as we've seen, they want to play, and quite rightly so, but this situation isn't going away anytime soon, and we've already postponed the league until August at the very earliest, so it has implications for the start of next season, and then Europe next season as well, and then obviously they've put the European Championships back till next year as well, so we need to finish the league in time for that as well. Who's to say that we get everything underway and there's not another outbreak because it starts again? We just don't know, and this sport is fucked for the time being, and we just need to all accept that. And this is where the proper governance needs to come into it, and we're not a rich league, and it seems to be that they've got money sitting there, which I didn't think they did, but they clearly did in terms of loans. So I don't know. It's all up in the air. There's nothing that can be said. It's going to run for ages. If there's legal action that needs to go through the courts, that won't be a fast-moving thing either. So whether that has ramifications for the start of next season, we don't know. Everything is completely fucked now, so there's no point even speculating. But there's literally nothing else I can say about it.
It's just been a complete soap opera, Derek, and a bad one at that. I mean, the amount of stories that have came out over the last week, the changes in rules, it's been incredible. It's actually, if you go back and you read over everything that's happened in the last week, you really just you're shaking your head throughout it all. And the thing that really annoyed me was I got a comment made on a tweet that I put out there, and it was a supporter of another team. I'll let you guess what team they support, and their response to what I put out there was, "I don't see what your problem is. There's no real victims here." You know what I mean? And if that is what it's got down to, that we can blatantly change rules, we can blatantly, and again, I'm not using this word lightly, we can blatantly cheat the rules as well. If that's what you're saying, there's no really any, there's no victims here, then it's all right to do things like that, which I was completely flabbergasted as well, because basically if it doesn't involve a certain club, then it's fine. If it doesn't affect them, then it's fine. And I find that quite incredible for a grown man to come away with something like that. But again, that's maybe we're in the minority here, Derek. It certainly seems like it, the way that I've been looking at things, but I just find it incredible. I really do.
Well, it all boils down to sport integrity, doesn't it? It was
thrown integrity, aye,
thrown in our face in 2008. Thrown in our face in 2012 and every day since, and it seems to only apply to Rangers, doesn't it? And this is what every other fan, I mean, they call us the ugly sisters when it comes to Rangers and Celtic, and these other clubs' fans need to realise that they dine off our scraps. They only are in existence because they get things from us. They only get sponsorship because of the Rangers and Celtic issue. They only get TV deals because of Rangers and Celtic. when it comes to Celtic themselves, don't even get me fucking started, because I'll be here for another hour. But the one last thing I want to let ruminate is the fact that Ladbrokes were pulling out of sponsorship of Scottish football. The Ladbrokes were pulling out of sponsorship of all football because of this. They want to try and promote a healthy betting lifestyle, and football obviously doesn't promote that. But the deal with the SPFL and the Scottish leagues was running out at the end of the season anyway. The SPFL don't have a title sponsor for this coming season. They struggled to get the one for the the Ladbrokes one as it was. With companies, with fans, with people, with clubs, all being very financially strapped just now and will be for some time, do they think they're going to get a sponsor for the coming season? Do they think they're going to have a significant amount of prize money for the next season? So, sorry, it's not going to happen.
Especially in this current climate, Derek. Let's be perfectly honest. And it's times like that they would need something watertight. They would need something, let's say that the sponsor was still to go another season after that. You could say to yourself, well, it's maybe in the contract, at least they have got that sponsorship for the other season. But as you say, this is all happening at the wrong time for them, isn't it? And what sponsor, let's be honest, what reputable big name sponsor is going to touch Scottish football after reading the farce that's been happening over the last week? Let's be perfectly honest with you. Who on earth, what savvy business person is going to look at that and say, you are having a fucking laugh, we're not going to touch them with a barge pole?
And quite rightly so.
What's been happening. So again, that's just another thing that you can get into, Derek, to say how much of a farce this has all been. And it's not painted Scottish football in a great light at all. It's just made us look like an absolute laughingstock, even more so than we have been.
Yeah. And not only that, as it's reached England, the English media have picked it up and they're laughing about it. And it just shows you how bad it is when Tom English and BBC Scotland pundits are in full agreement with the whole farce that is, and the fact that they're agreeing with Rangers, So we've been rambling on for a good bit here, a little longer than we thought. So we'll need to end it there, I suppose.
I know. Yeah, it has been a different setup altogether for us. Hopefully, the next pod will be back to something more normal. But we just felt that we had to come out and give you our opinion on the whole thing, and it is our opinion. I know there's a lot of fans out there are sharing our opinion, but we could have went on a lot longer because there has been so many farcical things happening. But we'll leave it at that, Derek, and we'll see. There's going to be more comes out, more farcical things come out over the next few days. So we'll wait and see what happens.
Yes. So hope everyone is still staying safe and keeping their distance out there. I know it's difficult. We're all finding it difficult now. You just need to keep believing. As Big Marv said, believing things will get better in both football-wise and both in life-wise. So that's my philosophical viewpoint of the day gone. So thanks for listening and goodbye.
Take care, folks. Goodbye.
And the stadium erupts in red, white and blue. You've never seen anything like it.
Let's go.